What's up, guys? Eli here. Back for a new series that I'm starting actually right now. It's going to be called Tales from the Dollar Bin. I have kind of kicked this idea around for a couple years, and I have used that as kind of a working title if you paid attention. I think I've used it twice in past videos where basically there's a media store nearby where they'll sell music and movies and stuff sometimes for quite cheap. So sometimes they'll have like a dollar music bin, and that's what I wanted this series to be based on, was the dollar bin strictly for music. But however, the only problem was, because I really like the concept, the problem was they only put stuff in the said dollar bin. They only actually put stuff in there that's decent, like maybe once or twice a year, and maybe even sometimes less than that. So it wouldn't really work out as a series unless I was going to do that series annually, which I like the idea way too much to use it that little. So anyways, I'm shifting over to the DVD format. So instead of CDs, I'm going to be buying movies, strictly horror movies, more or less, for $1 a piece. And I'm going to make a video, maybe, I don't know, once or twice a month, however often I do it. So it's going to be basically what horror movies I was able to score for $1 a piece. Some of them I might have seen before. Some I might watch before the video. Often, probably not. So sometimes it'll just be me showing, the movie that I got for $1. These aren't going to be reviews. Don't get me wrong. Don't think too much ahead of this. I just think it's a cool idea, and I wanted to utilize it. So, anyways, we'll get started. Tales from the Dollar Bin. And before we get started, I've been watching a shitload of movies lately. I've actually been watching movies more. Well, first of all, more than normal, but also I'm almost spending more time watching movies than I am listening to music, which is, there aren't many times in my life that I could say that, but I'm just having a fucking blast. So lately, I've watched this for the second time, actually, because I'd seen it before the other night. So I watched Altered States. This is a crazy, weird movie. First movie to feature William Hurt, and he knocks it out of the park on his first movie. He's great. This was directed by Ken Russell, who had done other weird movies like Lair of the White Worm, and I don't know, he'd done a couple others that I haven't seen. But yeah, he's known to be kind of a strange director. Kind of, almost not quite as strange as like Jodorowsky, but kind of on that level. Lots of crazy, weird visuals, and he's just, I like watching this guy's movies because he's not your typical director. He likes to, he's a true artist. He likes to play around with different types of shots and experimental stuff. I am not a film student, nor have I ever been. So I mean, I'm not going to be able to comment on any kind of technical aspects when it comes to filmmaking. But I just like the dude's style. I think I could have just left it at that. And this is a very weird, at times, like psychedelic type movie, at least as far as the visuals go. It is about this scientist who starts to experiment with like sensory deprivation and stuff like that. Like he builds himself several like sensory deprivation chambers and stuff like that. And then also at times using like different psychedelic drugs and stuff, which they don't ever really talk about what the drugs are too much, but they're clearly, I think one is they don't say the name of it, but I think it's ayahuasca. He goes and hangs out with with this native tribe, and he does mention DMT at one point. But anyways, really good movie. The ending is not anything I think anyone would ever expect. I'm not even going to spoil it. It's got a crazy ending. A lot of people call this a very Lovecraft inspired movie. I can see the point, but I think that's kind of reaching just a little bit, because, I mean, with what Lovecraft created as early on as he did, you could almost draw a lot of parallels to his work that are just, like I said, just a little bit too far reaching for me. Yes, conceptually, this definitely could have happened in a Lovecraft story, but like I said, I just think it's reaching. I don't know. That said, if you're a big Lovecraft fan, I think you could definitely get some enjoyment out of this. And if you are a big Lovecraft fan, what do you think about that? Would you agree? Would you consider this a Lovecraftian movie? Which I think that's a stupid First of all, let's stop using the Lovecraftian tag for everything. I think it's blown out of proportion, especially with music. There's no Lovecraftian metal. I mean, it's so stupid. Anyways, what do you guys think? This movie, oh my god, this has been on my to watch list for years and years, and probably over 10 years or more. And I've owned it for at least a couple years. Still haven't watched it, but I'm going to watch it now. As soon as this video's over, we're talking about Audition right there. I am a big Takashi Miike fan, even though some of his movies are kind of even pushing it for my tastes. But yeah, this is just something I grabbed off my shelf, and I was like, I gotta watch this. I'm tired of just letting it sit there unwatched. So we're gonna watch that today. Later on tonight, I meant to watch this last night, but I didn't get to it. I've been wanting to rewatch this movie for years. It's definitely a childhood favorite of mine. We're talking about Aliens. I do prefer, on the whole, I do prefer Alien to Aliens, but I think they're both fucking great. This is a great movie in its own right, and I've just been in the mood to watch it. I've shown it before on this channel. I have this cool 30th anniversary edition. Comes with a bunch of cool ass extras, and you can look it up online, or you can go to my Instagram page actually, and I kind of show some stuff that's inside of it. I showed last night. I took some pictures. So, anyways, fucking love Aliens. I've also been working my way through this series right here. I bought this a couple of months ago. I just finally finished the first disc, so I have 2 discs left. But we're talking about Lovecraft Country. I'd wanted to see this so bad when it first aired, not that long ago. But I also have the book that this is based on that I have not gone around to reading. I wanted to read the book before I watched the show, but that didn't happen. Too late, so I'll be reading the book later down the road. But I'm definitely impressed. The first episode with the show, they just knock it out of the park. They it's everything a first episode of a great show should be. It's got everything in it. I felt like the following 2 episodes were I didn't like as much, but I still have 2/3 of the show to go. So I'll judge it as a whole when I'm done watching it. But it's overall very enjoyable, and I highly recommend it. All right, now we're gonna get on to the actual video. Tales from the Dollar Bin. I got 7 movies here, so let's go. Some of these I've seen, some of them I haven't. This first one I actually watched the other night because I've been really wanting to see this for a while. We're talking about Frozen Ground, or The Frozen Ground, with Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, Vanessa Hudgens. I thought it was good. I did not think it was great. And I'm not saying that anyone was saying that it was necessarily. This movie did get pretty good reviews, I gotta say. There's a lot of positive reviews for this, and I wouldn't disagree with any of that. I think it's just, I'm such a big Nicolas Cage fan, and I think, knowing the subject matter, for this movie, I was kind of, I guess, putting together expectations in my head, which you should never do. I was kind of expecting, some dramatic and intense, Nicolas Cage moments, not necessarily over the top. I'm just saying, he can be very dramatic in the right way when he wants to be. And honestly, this is just kind of a straightforward cop movie. And it is based very close from what I can see, too, because I have read about this case, but it is based on an actual serial killer in Alaska. God, when did it happen? I'm sorry. It might have happened in the 90s. Anyways, you'd have to look into that, but I think it happened in the 90s if I remember correctly. But it happened in Alaska, and it was basically this guy. He was a pretty normal dude. He was married, but he did have like a history of like assaulting prostitutes and stuff like that. But anyways, he would like pick up prostitutes. He would fly them. He had like a small plane. He would like fly them, I don't know, to some different part of Alaska. He would dump them off and basically murder them there. Basically in an area very popular for hunting. He would murder them there, bury the remains, and I don't think he killed a ton of people, but he definitely killed a handful. So anyways, that's what this is about. I thought there was going to be a little bit more of a mystery going on. There is no mystery at all. It's Nicolas Cage plays the detective, and John Cusack plays the serial killer. There's no mystery at all. It basically tells you that it's him, I think, within the first like 15 minutes of the movie. So it was not supposed to be necessarily a mystery. Maybe they could have made it more mysterious, but that was not the point of the movie at all. It was about for you to pretty much know everything that's going on and just to watch it unfold. So I mean, well done movie. It was good. I wouldn't say it was great, but yeah, pretty enjoyable, I'd say. Let's see. This one I have seen this a number of times, and I actually own this movie, and I've owned several copies. I actually bought this not for myself though, but I'm sending it to my buddy Rick over at the Dreadful Minutes, just because when I see this movie lying around, I have to grab it because I like it that much. I'm gonna buy it, especially if it's really cheap, and I'm gonna send it to somebody, anybody. So we're talking about Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. I've also sent a copy to Kevin, my good buddy over at Full Metal Ginger. Very enjoyable movie, I gotta say. It is pretty much a found footage style mockumentary. I actually would be more descriptive. It's like a mockumentary about these kind of amateur filmmakers who are following this guy who is a self-professed serial killer who is very influenced by your 80s slasher movies, Michael Myers and Jason in particular. They basically just it's an odd concept. At times it doesn't work, at times it does, but it is a good idea. It doesn't always work. But anyways, so they're following this guy around, and he's telling his story, and yeah, he's the dude on the front. I think the character design is very cool. I think his mask looks great, and yeah, it's a good movie. There's a lot of humor in it, but then it is also a full on slasher movie, very 80s inspired slasher, but it's a unique concept, right? As far as I know, this had not been done before, and so I definitely give these people credit for coming up with a pretty cool idea. It's a good movie. So eventually I'll be sending that over to Rick. Then we got another movie that I have really, really, really been wanting to see for quite a while. It came out in 2019, apparently. 2019 or 2020, something like that. But we're talking about Gretel and Hansel. All I remember is, well, first of all, it looked cool, and I remember there is supposedly some of the people that worked on The Witch worked on this as well. It's not Robert Eggers. At first I thought it was Robert Eggers, the director, but it's not. It's someone else from the crew, and I don't know who. But anyways, it is obviously a retelling of the Hansel and Gretel fairy tale. Yeah, that's all I know about it. I haven't even started to watch it, but I've heard it's pretty decent. I've heard it's definitely got its flaws, but I heard visually, if you at least just watch this for its cool visuals, and you're gonna get something out of it. That's kind of the word on the street. Next we have probably the last Saw movie I'll ever buy, which for the longest time I said I was only going to ever buy the first, which I do have, but a specific YouTube channel recently has interested me in buying the second one. Will I go further and buy the third and the fourth? I doubt it. I think this might be the last one I ever really enjoyed. So I don't think I need to go further than this, but I can't say for sure. So yeah, talking about Saw 2, the cool slipcase, kind of like I have one like this with the first. Take off the slipcase, and it's just a clear, cool looking DVD. So anyways, what do you guys think about the Saw franchise? Do I need to go beyond Saw 2? I have seen like the third and the fourth, I think, in the theater, but I don't really remember much about them. I don't know. And so I've been trying to collect all the Jason movies. Obviously, I do have most of them, but I didn't have this one, and I've never seen it. So we got the unrated and R-rated version, special edition, I guess you'd call it. Jason Goes to Hell. It's made to look like a special edition, but I think this is just the regular version of the movie. Always liked the cover. This is actually the first cover I remember seeing as a kid, like in video stores, but always thought it looked cool. I've heard this movie's mostly terrible, but it definitely has its fans, so I'm looking forward to watching it. Also picked up, because I was a fan of the first movie in this series years and years ago. I haven't watched it in, God, way too long. Talking about 28 Weeks Later. Obviously, I was referencing 28 Days Later, which is considered a modern classic in the zombie subgenre. But there are some people that really love this movie, and there are some people that actually prefer this to its predecessor. So I have never seen it, so I don't know. What do you guys think about this one? You think it's better than the original? Not as good? What do you think? And we have one more, and of course I've seen this movie. Saw this in the theater back in the day. Always really liked it. This is always my favorite of the series. It is a trilogy. First one is the first one's good, kind of a modern classic in its own way. The third one I think is garbage. We were talking about Blade 2. I got this double disc version. I don't remember. I don't know. It's probably a bunch of special features I'll never watch. Yeah. So this one, the special ingredient here, if you ask me, is the director, Guillermo del Toro. One of my favorite directors who he does miss as often as he hits, I think, but I still think he's great. I love the dude, and yeah, he brought a lot to this movie. The vampires that he did for this, the kind of monstery vampires, I don't remember what they're called. They look fucking awesome. Yeah, really excited to rewatch that. So anyways, first official episode of Tales from the Dollar Bin. What do you think? Would you watch it again? Did you watch it at all? Let's talk. Yeah, talk to me about movies, guys. I'm kind of obsessed lately, and I don't see it ending anytime soon. So, anyways, probably the next video or the next two videos you're going to see after this will be my my end of year list videos, which I'm going to break up into two parts. I think I bought over 30 releases this year, so I'm going to be ranking them all. So, top 30 or 31, whatever you want to call it. We're going to do it just like we did last year, and I really enjoyed doing it that way. So anyways, either way, I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Louis says hello. He's taking a nap. We'll talk soon.